Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns news skates. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Oh, the show is called Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. Sometimes Millard shows up, and we're going. It's week 3 of January, week 2 of the podcast. Hockey is in full force. Jeff is here. Darren's here. I'm here back from Utah, where I snuck into a game in between shows because the club was right across the street. I like that building. Did you play in that building, Jeff?
Yeah, we won a Turner Cup in that building.
Ooh, somebody.
Well, one of the 3 buildings that's still active that I played in the NHL, and I'm worried about 2 of them, but one of them I think will always stand the test of time. So,
Which one?
I thought
Which
you
2
guys
you
played
worried
out
about?
in the suburbs where the Olympic
No,
hockey was.
we won it in the Delta Center, and then the next year we went into what was called the E Center, which was a fabulous building. And then, I mean, the E Center is only 11,000 for hockey.
That's
So
where
really,
the Olympic hockey was in 2002.
yeah, it's a great building. Unbelievable. So
Where are they doing the hockey for 2032?
I believe the plan is Delta Center or a new building.
I think they'll do both. I think they'll do whatever they come up with for a new building, and they'll do the E Center, which is over there. I think it's on the 215. I think it's the 215, but I think they'll use both, or at least that building that they played the last time in will become a minimum a practice facility.
Because part of the hockey was in E Center was the primary facility, and then the secondary rink was in Provo. That's where the other half of the tournament was.
Hey, I'll say this too about Salt Lake. They have some of the greatest rinks. Like they have in a lot of the rinks up there. They have the one end's glass, so you got the mountains and you've got the trees, and you're out there skating around. It gives you a little bit of a feel like you're back outdoors. It's kind of fun.
Whistler is like that. Whistler has a rink.
Whistler has a great rink,
yeah. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that, but obviously in a place like Vegas, that'd be tough because they'd always have to have the curtains down because it's sunny. It's sunny a lot in Salt Lake, but it was really cool. And so
they'd have to have the curtains down because there'd be a hooker outside waiting for a gig.
Woo! Yeah,
right into the ditch.
Yeah.
Right into the ditch. I got to be honest with you. Salt Lake is one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah, I like it.
It is so good looking there.
Yeah, it is. It's and there's so much to do. It's kind of getting found out about now a little bit more. Another place that's not too far from Salt Lake, which won't have an NHL team anytime soon, if ever, but Boise is beautiful.
Yeah,
not too far. Yeah, it is. It's what 5-6 hours, I think. So,
which airport's better to fly into?
Either 6 one half does the other. More runways in Salt Lake, so nice. Both of them are great. I like both cities, but Salt Lake was a diamond in the rough, and now those guys playing up there are gonna love it.
6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah.
That's 14, right?
I like watching Bagg.
Isn't 14 a baker's dozen?
It's 13.
I know. That's it. I was just trying to help LB out a little bit. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Or is it BL today? It's BL.
Bag of the Lords. It's when I dance with no arm movement. Bag of the Lords.
Is that a new saying now? New title? Bag of the Lords?
I change it every time. Sometimes we're just Bag. Sometimes we're Lord of the Bag. Sometimes we're Bag of the Lords.
Lordy.
Sometimes we're just Ian. Lordy, look who's 40.
Yeah, that's right. Young man. Hey, Millard, thanks for dressing up today. We do appreciate that. Took a while, but what's up? You got
I love that jacket.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what time's the 9:30 recording start?
9:15.
Yep.
Okay.
I got in here early. I got in here early because of last week.
There's no rhyme or reason on the recording.
Quit being corporate with us.
Yeah.
Last time you're late. This time you're early. I think
Quit
I'm
being
doing just
corporate.
good.
Oh my God. I told him we shouldn't bring him in. He was going to change his whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm wearing a suit. We have a game today.
You have a game tonight, so you thought you'd get dressed at 9 in the morning for it?
Jeff,
Well,
you never know
I
when
have
time
this. I have
switch.
something right after this, and then I have to get to the rink to finish off my writing
Skates.
for the show. And because it's an early start, it's a 5 o'clock start due to the game being in Nashville. So
Yeah.
I'm stacked up today. Like an air traffic controller. He's trying to manage everything. That's what I'm trying to do right now.
That's what you do. Actually, you know what? I will say that. I will say you'd be a good air traffic controller because you give the the guys a little grief when you need to.
Oh, that part of it, I'd be good.
Yeah,
at
you
chirping.
do. And air
Yeah.
traffic controllers are awesome because they're pretty calm most of the time, but they'll chirp you once in a while and keep you honest. So
But you're not allowed to chirp them, right?
no, you can have some fun with them. Like, if they're like you miss a radio call or something like that, and they call you they'll go, United 1251 for the third time. So when they do that to us once in a while, because we have a secondary frequency we have up as well to listen. It's called guard, and that way, if someone and everybody's on guard from little planes to the big guys. So if someone's on trouble, they can go to guard and always get somebody to get them to a different frequency. So I just tell them, I go, we got you this time, switching over to 2837, and I said, we perform daily. Just like the Sharples house, we perform daily and usually try and leave it
That's
with a little
funny.
bit of a laugh. So, but
Do they ever do this? All right, United, we got a phone number for you to call afterwards.
Yeah. Have you ever got the phone number?
You know what? We asked for a phone number one time because
No way.
yeah, we asked for it. We're like, hey, we just wanted to make sure there was some confusion on what was going on, and so we ended up talking to the tower, and they're like, oh no, that was on us. We're all good. You guys are good to go. And I'm like, no problem. But yeah, you will hear a phone number once in a while. If something goes sideways, they'll go, hey, you got time to write down a number? And that's when you're like, la 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 la. You don't want to you don't want to ever hear that.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't.
No,
That's
no,
when you're
we
in big
don't have
trouble,
a
right?
pen. What's that?
That's when you're in big trouble.
Well, they just want to, it doesn't necessarily mean big trouble, but there was definitely a little bit of a kerfuffle and they want to get to the bottom of it. And these guys are so great. Like you think about it, there's anywhere from probably 5,000 to 7,000 airplanes up over the skies in definitely in the States, but North America, maybe more at a given time of the day. At night, obviously there's a few less. And these guys just keep rolling. So that's why you're such a great air traffic controller, Millard, because you just keep it rolling up there in section 117 or in studio 31. So you
I've
keep
given out a
everybody
few
on time.
numbers. I've given out a few numbers.
Yeah, well,
That's
but you've never gotten a call back. Never
No,
got a
should you-
call back.
You should start using that on air.
You gotta-
I'm
you got a
gonna
number
write.
for you.
I'm gonna send you a number to call after the show.
Is
Yeah.
it the same number all the time?
No, there's always a different number. Like if you're
Perfect.
wherever you are.
Oh, so you do have to write it down.
Oh yeah, it's not like one hotline number, like where they're like, okay, they're in Washington D.C. and they're like,
1-800
okay,
pizza.
okay, Alaska. Oh, we got you here. Yeah, no, they don't do
You're
that.
saying that like I'm stupid. I don't know that there's more than one number.
Come on, Darren, wake up.
Well, do you think if something goes sideways on your show that the guys in Nashville care? They don't care. They're like, you guys fix that.
I'm
That
not
happened-
sure that's
That happened in your airspace, Mallard. So tonight, whoever you're on with, who you on tonight with? Who do you got?
D.
D, just you and D. So if something happens, you give D the number. He's just going to call you about it. He's not going to call Nashville's broadcasting team and go, okay, this is what happened in the second intermission. What do you guys see? They don't care.
As important as I think I am, I'm not
Sure
sure.
of that.
I'm not sure that's a legitimate comparison. Air traffic control versus our show.
No.
You should just start calling him the controller on the air.
We were trying to
The
think of a
captain in air
nickname
traffic
for him.
control.
This
controller.
controller.
He is a bit of a controller, but then we'd have to have two of them because I'd have to get you one as well. A couple controllers.
A
That's
couple
what you guys
controllers.
are.
Oh, don't be
I
like
think
that.
I think Lord Bagg and I in air traffic control one night would be a blast.
Well, you would get all fired up because you like to keep it going a certain way. And Lord Bagg would be like, yeah, we're taking off on runway 26, but I sent everyone down to runway 1, you know?
I like seeing people struggle to get into the air. So we sent them to a different.
He just had people taxiing around the airport. I
Why are
didn't
we
like
calling
that
it
guy's tone.
26? I'm calling it 26. No, you know what? I'm going to call it 13 today. We're going 13 today.
Well,
Double 13s.
you know what? 13s. Yeah. You call it whatever you want. Hey, you go down to 13 times 2 and wait. So
I often look at those. I try to figure out. I'm like, how the hell do you guys know which one's which? Because I can't see any numbers anywhere. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's incredible that people don't screw up more.
well, a lot of the airplanes will yell at you. They were like approaching runway 16 left. You know, you're like, oh yeah, and so a lot of them, you're like,
Whoa.
they put all this stuff in the airplanes now to make sure that you don't have people taking off. Now that's not on every airplane, but where you have a problem sometimes, and you guys remember the old World War II where they built basically the triangle so every runway could go into the wind. So
Yeah.
what you'll have once in a while is you'll have where they meet the top of the triangle, you'll have guys it'll suck you in because as you're turning onto the runway, you're looking down at this runway, but you want to go a little further left or a little further right because and so that's back in the day they built those runways like that, and over the course of time sometimes it hasn't happened for years, but sometimes people will, they've tried taking off on the wrong runway. So that's why it's important to know exactly what runway you're looking at. So they got those big numbers painted at the start of the runway. Plus the airplanes now, a lot of them are telling you, hey, you're approaching this runway. It's like,
So
okay.
one end of the runway is the right and one end is the left. Is that?
Well, no,
that-
I mean,
I don't understand the left and the right of it.
Okay, so let's just use Vegas. In Vegas, right? You've got two runways going west. One of them's called 26 right. One of them's 26 left, right? 260 degrees, right? So you're coming in at 260. So you'd be looking at them and you'd be like, okay, they take off on the right when the wind is coming from the west in Vegas, and you land on the left. That's how they do it. So that's how the big airports, they'll use one to take off and the other one just about strictly to land.
So you're taking off into the wind and you're landing with the wind.
Into the wind. You don't want to take off or land with the wind if you can
Well, how do you
help
do
it.
that? How do you do that if they're both? You don't want to be going the same, like adding.
Well,
they're
because
parallel.
but that's I mean they have all the automation and all that to make sure nobody's getting in anyone's business out there or getting into their space, right?
So you
So
have two runways, but the same number, but one's a left and one's a right.
that's right. And so you would have
But
so
they're two separate runways.
right. They're two separate runways. That's right.
See,
But
I
here,
don't understand why
well,
you have
here's
two
the thing.
runways the same number. Why not just name 1261 and 1260, and then you'd forget the left and the right?
Right.
Yeah.
sounds
Okay.
pretty-
Well, that's for another day. But yeah,
Or
Bagg, are you
take
with
off.
me on that?
I am, or take off and land. Maybe we write take off and land on the runway.
well, what if it's closed for maintenance?
Well, you put clothes for maintenance.
You put pylons up.
Yeah, you
you
put
put-
pilot. Yeah,
I thought
you
it was
put-
what?
yeah.
Yeah. Hey. And
Did you just get chirped at home?
yeah, I just got chirped. I just got asked.
Did
I
you?
thought it was a hockey podcast.
It's whatever we want.
Yeah,
It's-
well, here's the thing. This is how you don't get confused. You have frequencies for the landing system, or let's just use that. Okay, so if you're coming in the fog or it's cloudy, so you can put a frequency in so you know you're going to the right runway. Okay, so and there's other ways to tell too, but I'm not. The GPS obviously knows where it's going, so that's how it is. I didn't name maybe they didn't have enough point to put 260 000 whatever you
Oh,
guys
yeah, they
want to
ran
put
out of
on it.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
lot of
right.
paint.
That's right. So it goes 16 or 26, and then the R goes below.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know here in California, they used to never put they didn't put it on the ground, like it would be the signs, but they never have which lane you should be in, the paint on which lane you should be in. And some guy in the middle of the night would made his own truck and went out and started painting the highway numbers on all the freeways around Los Angeles.
That's
And
brilliant.
and they didn't know that, like the Department of Highways didn't know. They thought they'd done it.
No way.
Yes. It took
That's
them.
awesome.
It's a great story, and now they do it. They actually do it on all the freeways around Los Angeles. They mark on the freeway what highway lane, like when there's a bunch of lanes, which one you should be in. It's pretty incredible.
How are you doing, Lord Bagg?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Yeah,
With
the
fires?
we're pretty far away. Like if it got down to here, the whole city would have been gone. So we're doing pretty good. I have a lot of friends that lost their houses, comedians and other people and stuff like that. Just it's amazing how quick it went through. A lot of people are like, well, whatever. But look how quick Jasper burnt this summer.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. And I don't know, the winds were incredible. I didn't understand. We kept getting messages. I think we may have talked about it last week, but we kept getting messages for about a week before these like hurricane winds coming, like and didn't really click into how bad it was going to be because we always get bad winds, but because I guess it came from the east, it was hot. And that's what, once something started, it was going. So
So it came from inland.
yeah.
Huh.
Came from the inland south and the inland, right? I think that's what it, but so there's no moisture to it. And it was dry. It was really dry. So
Wow. And personally people who have lost everything.
yeah, a couple comedians. My friend Carl and his wife just moved back and got a house, and it was in Pacific Palisades, burned to the ground. So they thought his parents also lived in Pacific Palisades. They lost their house. Thank God they're affluent enough that they have a house in Palm Springs, and that's where their rebuild is from Palm Springs. So and I see a lot of every day I see a lot of GoFundMe's going up and stuff like that. So yeah. The thing that gets me is all these pets that were left behind and people trying to find their pets. I'm just like, oh, just crushing.
Yeah. Like if you had an outdoor cat and all of a sudden you had to leave, like boom.
Yeah. Fire is, yeah. I remember when I was a kid that we went to the library and they asked us what was a book's biggest enemy, and it turns out it's water. And I kept saying, but what about fire? I think fire is way worse than water for a book. And they kept telling me to shut up, but almost everything in our house just burns quick, right? So once it's going, it's going. So yeah, I'm actually you guys I'm actually surprised that large of houses aren't forced to have sprinklers inside the house, because if it's a business, they have to have sprinklers inside the house, right?
Yeah, but if it burns from the outside in, the sprinklers aren't going to help.
And here's the thing. I mean, you had
but it might save some of it.
Yeah, but fire chiefs were saying that it didn't matter how much water they had. You had 80-mile, 90-mile-an-hour winds pushing stuff, and it's dry. And you guys, I mean, SoCal's really dry as it is anyway. So it's just
we haven't
a tragedy,
had much rain. We haven't had much rain. You know what's incredible is those water bombers and the helicopters. I don't know if you've seen the videos of them just dumping water and how close they get. That's some crazy flying right
and
there.
Big planes.
Big planes. And just I don't know. Would you fly one of those, Jeff?
You know what? I mean, some of them. I'll say this much: I flew with a guy years ago that helped certify the big DC-10. It's a white top with a red bottom. All of them have red bottoms, and he said they went out and did the proving runs with this thing. And let's just say this: the guys that fly those have balls of steel, because they get right down on top of it. And those guys, I mean, it's just like all the people trying to save everything. They're heroic. And so, I mean, I'd love to take one out for a spin. I'm not going to tell you that I'd be down there at a couple 100 feet or 50 feet or whatever however close they get. But they've really helped kind of get, stabilize things, I think. And so hopefully, they're supposed to get more wind, but yeah, that got to give him credit. But he was telling me the stuff they were doing in that DC-10, which used to be a passenger plane, was incredible. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. So tip your hat to all those guys that are out there fighting right on top of the fires, and of course the firefighters and everyone else that's volunteering down in SoCal. Pretty amazing when people band together with trying to save each other. It's good for the community, like, I mean,
good
it's
for the
tragic.
community.
It's
It is
tragic.
like people get together, and it's been sad that some people have been trying to get in the way and start blaming people and stuff like that. You're just like, this isn't the time to blame. It's the time to like just help everybody out. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. How big of a crew is on that plane?
You know what? I'm gonna say probably 3 or 4, depending on if it's been updated, the flight deck. I could find out and get back to you next week because
Next week?
next week. I can't do it today. I don't think Sal will get back to me that quick, but it's going to be, captain, first officer, and then they might or might not have a couple other guys on board, helping set up the grid for where they're going to pass, what part of the fire they're going to try and hit. And sometimes it's inaccessible. Like sometimes they're just not going to be able to get the airplane in a position where they can go, be able to drop the retardant on top of the fire and get out of there. So, and of course the winds, if they pick back up, that's a real nemesis as well, right? For everybody.
How big of a plane what's the biggest plane they would use? Because look, I thought I saw 737, but
That's about the size. Yeah.
Well, you know what? They use, I think the Canadian guys came down and they got those, the ones that'll scoop up the water. So,
and they're doing it off the ocean.
yeah, that's
That
pretty
was
ballsy too.
Blew me
Like,
away that they were out there.
like you
Yeah.
think about it, if you see a lake and it's got a ripple, okay, that's
Yes.
one thing. But the ocean has swells. Like these guys, there's like I say, the courage and that they have to do what they do is incredible. And I would say those airplanes, uh, trying to compare them to maybe a little bit smaller than a regional, around the size of a regional turboprop, like a Q400, which is a stretch dash 8. They use those now. They also use, well, the Martin Mars, they just retired, which was being used up in Canada, which would drop in on the water, would drop in on the lakes up there, which was a huge airplane. I was believed that the Martin Mars was so big that they had a maintenance guy on, and they might have a maintenance guy
Jeez.
on the bigger airplanes. He used to be able to walk in the wing and go add oil to one of the engines. That's how
Really?
big that airplane was. But like a DC-10 is a massive wide body airplane. Like it's huge. I'm not sure what else they got. I think there's some old maybe MD-80s or DC-9s that they used with the 2 engines on the back. But I'd have to have a look.
Some video of the Canadian bombers coming in the ocean, scooping the water up and going up. And then the other bits of video that I thought that blew me away was how close the planes were to the firefighters on the ground. Like the firefighters standing there watching the plane come in and then going in and tracking it after the water's dropped. Those firefighters look like they're going to be underneath what's dropped from the plane.
They used to have, years ago, my dad and I used to go out in northern British Columbia and do what they called fire patrol, which was you'd go out and just look for fires. Like you'd be up for 4 or 5 hours at a time, right? Because and then
in the airplane, you guys would fly around looking for fires.
Yeah, like in a small like Cessna or like they'll do it in Cessnas, or they don't want to go ripping like so fast that you want to make sure you get up high enough and just kind of cruise and make sure you see anything, especially if there's been electrical storm in the area. But when you used to get a fire, it was so remote, you had to bring the bombers in, and they would have a guy in a small twin engine airplane that was called the Bird Dog, and he would go in and I don't know how elaborate they've gotten these days, but he'd come in and go in and see and check it out, see what it was like getting down lower to the fire. And he'd be calling in the drops of the water and the fire retardant on top of the fire. So it's
From
something
the
to
air.
behold. Yeah, it's like a ballet, man. The way they run it, it's pretty impressive from the air. Yeah.
I did one summer I did 2 weeks on 2 weeks on a fire crew. Like we go out and like they take about I don't think 20 or 30 of us, like $10 an hour, I think we're making. And we would we'd just be shoveling the whole time on those fires. That's all we did.
Hmm.
It was fun.
Best
Middle of
shape of
nowhere.
your life,
Yeah,
right?
I
yeah,
bet.
yeah. Just wandering around. We'll come get you when the sun goes down. Then you realize you're in northern BC. See it 11 o'clock.
What's what's the status now in LA?
I think some of them are like completely contained, but I think some started up around Ventura, up that area, like up near where they have them during other times. So up near up where John lives, I think some started up near where the Six Flags is, that area. So
I
yeah.
can't believe that they can track how these fires started. Like they can go back and
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, like, oh, this started with a cigarette over here.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And did you guys see where the Kings, the LA Kings, have stickers on their helmets and patches on
Yeah.
their jersey for the? And I see the Rams had Fire Department. So
Well, did they have to move the Rams game last night to Arizona? Is that what
Phoenix,
they
yeah.
did? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
But I think did the Lakers play last night or
I
uh
don't-
they were talking about the
LA.
Lakers being the first one back.
Yeah, I thought they started Monday night, didn't they? But I can
Yeah.
see why, like there's way more important stuff going on,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, but at some point too, part of the healing is getting obviously it's
Getting
easy for me
back.
to say, but getting back to some sense of normalcy, right? Because it's just like piling on all this bad news. Oh, we got another fire, and so to see your local sports team or some entertainment or something kind of take your mind off it for a little bit. I think that's a big part of it. And the Kings, they did a really nice thing. I flipped between the LA broadcast and Sportsnet last night, but both of them talked about it. And on the Sportsnet, the Canadian one, they had a set up a place for basic, not a GoFundMe, but a place like a Red Cross to donate as well. So, um,
Well, it's
a lot.
the improv and the comedy store set up so that they were a place that people could go for food and water and drink and weren't open for the week.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
but they were last Wednesday or Thursday they had to evacuate they were evacuated out of the area because it was coming down that side. It was in Runyon Canyon, Jeff, where I used to live. That
Mhm.
we used to go up that hill all the time, and I lived at the bottom of Runyon Canyon. So yeah, that was crazy when you see that. You're like, oh, that's where we used to hang. So
It'd be unthinkable in your regular, whether it's Vegas or Calgary or uh, Regina, if there's an urban fire, the place shuts down. But it does exhibit how bloody large Los Angeles is.
it's amazing
Yeah,
because you cannot see it from one side of the city.
right.
It's a normal everything's fine, and the other side is just completely burning.
It
So
it blew me away that there can be all these fires basically in Los Angeles, different suburbs, but Los Angeles, like, wow.
it's massive. It's a massive city.
Well, isn't there like 28 to 30 million? I mean, San Diego was obviously a little bit south, but from San Diego to Burbank, it's like 28 to 30 million people. So, yeah, I mean, the rest is you fly over top of it, and it's crazy when you see it. And anyways, you can't. The loss is immeasurable, but they got people working night and day to try and get this thing under control. So that's all you can ask.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they're talking about rebuilding better and bigger and stuff like that. I don't know what you do to, like. I don't think there's anything they can rebuild that will make anything safer. I think the codes they have are pretty
Yeah.
close. So yeah, you hope that I'm happy they said to the insurance companies, no, you still cover everybody. I like they
Oh, is
said
that what
that.
they did? Even people
Yeah,
that didn't have or
The
were
people
rejected?
the people that were rejected, everybody's covered. So apparently,
Thank
so
goodness.
because they started pulling last week or something, last month they started pulling
Oh, they
people's
did.
insurance. They started pulling insurance before it happened. So they kind of had some sort of warning, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Like some will get away with it, but yeah, we
And
we pay
it
for
made me
insurance
think.
for a reason, so we're insured.
It made me think, like, what do you do? Are you covered? I've never really looked at my policy until this, but are you covered the time that you're out of your home while you're rebuilding? Like, how do you survive during that? And because
I think
you still have a
are
mortgage
you?
to pay.
I don't know. Yeah, are
There
you?
is like a time period, whether it's 24 months or 36 months, that you can get where you're out of place or uh,
It's
displaced insurance.
It's crazy though. Our friend Krista Tycho lives out in Pittsburgh area, and her place burnt down last year. And it was about a year before they said, okay, this is what's going to be covered, and you can start rebuilding now. It's not a fast moving thing.
Wow.
So
And you
they
still have to
said,
pay your mortgage
yeah,
while this is
while
happening.
paying rent
Yeah.
someplace else and finding rent, and people are so gracious, they've cranked up the rents on places. Apparently everybody's doubled, if like everything that's available is now double the price,
You're
so
not
that's
shocked
fine.
at that, are you?
I kind of am.
I'm
I'm just like,
disappointed, but I'm not
yeah,
shocked.
yes, I guess that's the word, disappointed. Yeah, you're just like, oh my goodness, suddenly it's an airport, we're inside an airport and everything's $20 for a glass of water.
Well, that's because
So
Sharples handles those
yeah,
prices.
That's right. When I'm not, I'm stocking water and Hudson News in between.
You get an
that's a
airport
great.
discount.
Yeah.
You do.
What is it?
Yeah,
How
we get
much? How
if you
much?
get an employee discount.
You do.
It ranges anywhere from 10 to 20%. So
Oh man, that's
yeah,
nice.
most
I
places, not every place. Like where was I? I don't know. Like maybe it was a Wendy's or something. I don't remember. But like,
Ooh.
yeah, I know. Trying to get a Frosty, right? I probably should
I
have
love
just
my
gone
Frosties.
and done a little bit
Oh,
more
Frosty's
walking
are
around
good.
the airport and had some water. But I was like, oh, I think I'll have a Frosty. And
And
yeah,
look out the window.
they're like, yeah, yeah. Then go sit down for 6 hours. Maybe one of those hamburgers too. But yeah, they some places, most places will do something. Some places don't.
Good for you.
I love when you have something that suddenly has a ton of fiber in it and you didn't notice. All of a sudden you're on a plane for 5
Yeah.
hours.
I
This is your
told
captain. I'll be right back.
I told LB years ago, I'm like, I had some fiber one bars, but it never really dawned on me at the time because I was home. So I was like, oh. I said to Ian, I go, you gotta have one of these fiber one bars. They're awesome. So you could take it from here, LB.
Let's just say they work really well. That's not
We
what you
we
want. You don't want one before you get on a plane. I'm going to tell you
we hung
that.
out separately that
Oh,
night.
oh yeah, we hung out separately. Oh my goodness, it was
Um,
amazing.
yeah,
It
it was just like I went to Whole
was
Foods
pretty good.
and and talking about hockey. I went to Whole Foods and one of those probiotics drinks. You might want to, before you try something new, just make sure you're in a place that you have some resources around you.
Practicing your kegels all the way home while you're
Oh
walking.
my God.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think we should come up with a water just for the airports. 2-6 left,
Oh, that would be
Or hey,
great.
we could, what we
right?
could do is we could have 2-6 left, and then we could have for Mallard 260 because he wants more numbers. Like
Lots
it's
more
not
numbers.
confusing enough already. It's instead of 0-1 left, we're gonna call it 0-1-0-0.
Okay,
You could have a
do
bunch
you
of
really
waters.
think having two different numbers for two different runways is easier than having the same number for two runways and a left and a
260,
right?
I
261.
don't make the rules. I just try and follow them. I'm not out there. That's not my goal, is to figure out why they numbered the
I
runway
think
where they
I've
did.
changed
It's
the
just to
way
get from A to B.
I've changed the way airport runways and
Well, here's the thing
takeoffs
though. There's the
work now.
controller in you. Instead of just moving everything around and keeping it going,
There's the
you're
controller.
you're on the phone with maintenance. Hey, we need to paint those numbers differently. So
I love it. I'm gonna do a podcast in the future, And that's why we call them 260 and 261 because of
You know, there's some people that get what you just did, and some people have no idea, think you're just throwing out a line.
right. No, some
Like,
people have no idea the problems that I have in my head, and some
no,
people do.
but that was one of the great features in radio history,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it was.
Like,
Yeah,
we would
yeah.
all you'd listen to the start and you'd sort of pay attention, and by the end you're hooked to see what's the turn. Where does it go from here?
What's going to
That's the
happen?
rest of the story.
Right there is the rest of the story. My
What's
God,
his
did we
name?
ever talk about hockey anymore?
What was his name? The rest of the story guy.
Yeah, that's the way it was.
I'm gonna have to
Paul,
Google it.
was it
His
Paul?
son did it. Paul, yeah, Paul something. Yeah, you're gonna have to Google it. Well, can you Google and sketch at the same time, Millard?
Google Sketch
Yep.
and do the podcast. Jeff is on his phone. He can't podcast. He can't Google. I'm sorry. He can podcast, but he can't Google.
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. I was close. I get some
Yes.
points.
No, you
Yes,
know
you
the
do get
rest of it.
points. I wasn't even close.
Well, his son
Yeah.
took over for him, didn't he? It wasn't his son.
That's yeah. I'm Paul Harvey. Good day. Right. That's what he'd say at
That's
the
how
end.
you should end your show now, just as a little tip of the hat to Paul Harvey.
Just say I'm Paul Harvey. I'm Paul Harvey.
Yeah, no, now you know the rest of the story. Good
I'm
day.
just gonna say,
you
and
know the
that's
rest
the
of-
start of my story.
You're
You
too
know,
busy
I would-
chirping people.
I would love to do who was it? Was it Wilfred? The guy on 60 on Sundays, he would just travel around in a bus and talk to people and talk to their stories. Do you remember that? Yeah.
It wasn't Maury, was it?
No, it wasn't more. It was like Wilfred Brimley or something like that. And he was a bald guy and he would just sit in a bus and look out the window and talk about it and then just stop and talk to people. The best part about that was it turned out he had 2 or 3 families on the road.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah. Norm Macdonald did a joke about it. Did a sketch about it. He was him and he goes, I go around the world and I talk to people and I have a lot of sex. What was his name? Come on, you're Googling. Don't just keep going.
I'm trying, but I don't know what Google is. It
It
Wilford?
would be Sunday
I've got Wilford
mornings.
Brimley, but it's not Wilford Brimley.
It's Sunday mornings travel show. What's the Sunday morning show? You see Gaffigan on it all the time. Jeff, you always tell me Gaffigan was on Sunday morning.
Oh,
CBS Sunday morning. That's what it's called. CBS Sunday morning.
Gaffigan's everywhere though, so it's tough to keep up with
Sure
him.
is.
Yeah, he is everywhere right now, isn't he?
He is. He is very
We was at
much.
Ian's wedding, and then after your wedding, he just decided, well, I've had enough of this, and I'm just gonna go right to the top.
The best part about it was, remember, he had just had a newborn baby about 6 months before that, and they just parked it behind a curtain and had a good night.
I like the way he makes fun of his kids.
Oh yeah, that's why he keeps having them. A lot of people think it's Catholic, but no, he needs them for material.
I can't find who Wilford is, but I Googled Sunday morning and Wilfred, and the first thing that comes up is Jim Gaffigan.
That's so funny. How about
So-
Sunday morning travel show? Sunday morning 60 minutes. Sunday morning CBS Sunday morning travel.
Travel.
Here's the
CBS.
best part. If you're listening to this audio, the silence is
This
fantastic.
is
Yeah,
outstanding.
so
what's-
hey,
and
The podcast is called Googling.
try and guess what we're doing now.
Somebody's Googling it way faster and better than me.
Right now, it's me and Jeff watching you Google the
Rick
podcast.
Stevens? Steve?
No, that's not it. Oh my God. I'm gonna put on my glasses and look in my phone now.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on.
Hey, I'm gonna go get a coffee.
So that
Be
means
right
Sharples
back.
is on his own. Sharples just fill for 30 seconds for
Hey,
us.
you know,
Pretend
I don't
pretend
know
the
if I can
games
talk for
pretend the
30
games in
seconds with
San
you
Jose
two.
and go.
yeah. Hey, let's talk about runway markings. Okay, so I don't have anything for you.
What?
Hey,
You know
The
what I
LA
do? I
Kings-
will say this though. I did have a good laugh the other day, but I'll bring it up in the shout outs because you guys will have a little chuckle about it too. But there's some fill for you. Kind of
the
talk in
LA
a
Kings
circle.
The LA Kings are playing great. I think they're said it on the podcast with John Shannon. I think they're the best team nobody's talking about.
100% they are.
Charles Carrault.
Oh, wow. Great name.
Impressive. That's why Wilfred wasn't giving me any hits.
That's why it wasn't helping.
Yeah, Wilfred not just missed it by a few letters, not far.
The Kings are playing good hockey.
More silence. Actually, them and
they should have won last night. They should have beat Edmonton. Stuart Skinner was great in the first period.
Yeah, maybe they should have got one in the first, but I thought Edmonton, as the game went on, I tell you what, Edmonton learned a lot last year, or at least they've put it to practice. It looks like, they've been a couple of real long runs for them, or maybe not. They've run into the the last 3 times they've been knocked out. Those teams have gone on to win the Stanley Cup, right?
Yes.
Colorado, Vegas, and Florida. So, but you watch Edmonton, they're pretty comfortable playing those kind of games. And if they get the goaltending, they look really structured. LA just smothers you. You have to score first against LA, or it's going to be a tough night because they smother you. Wherever you go, there they are. So it was actually a really good game.
This will sound goofy, but I love watching Anze Kopitar. He just makes unique plays every night.
He's interesting, isn't he? For a guy that looks like he's sick.
He's big. He doesn't look like he's going to be fast. He's so adept at playing defensively, but can make these offensive plays in positions that you don't think that there's an option there.
It's pretty incredible. He's definitely always when on the ice. You definitely need to watch him.
Yeah, when the Golden Knights first came to Vegas, and you watch guys, you get to go down there and see teams you never see live. Kopitar to me was, and there was 3 guys. Obviously McDavid and McKinnon. Now Makar. They think these guys are special. Draisaitl, but the 3 guys that caught my eye was Pietrangelo, how well he moved when he was in St. Louis for a big guy, 6'4", really
massive.
He's got jam. Like, he will stand on that blue line. Really impressive. Kane, when Kane was going with Chicago, the puck just followed him around. When he didn't have it, it found him. And then Kopitar, though, to me, just absolutely fantastic. And you watch him again last night, and what's he got, 1,400 games in the league now? And he's still just, one of those guys. A lot of what he does, you might not catch, but, he had an assist or a nice pass, but he does so many impressive things. LA is going to be a handful. They're not going anywhere. I don't think the Oilers are going to go anywhere. And Vegas has had a hell of a season. So you're going to have a first-round matchup that nobody on either side is going to be thrilled with in the Pacific. That's for sure.
Who doesn't want to see the other team more? Edmonton against LA or LA against Edmonton, given that they've met the last few years and Edmonton's won them all.
Well,
I think Edmonton. I think
catch up to you.
Yeah, so I was going to say Edmonton, right? Because it's as you say, it's gonna happen at some point. And it's not like Edmonton's just walk them either. Like, it's been really close.
Yeah, it's been a bounce here or there, but even last night you can see, like, so LA's got Edmonton, they got Jeannot, they brought Fogle over from Edmonton. Byfield is just a rock star. Like, you can put
it's amazing what he's become.
Yeah, your third line center now, right? They've gotten a little bit bigger and a little bit angrier, right? LA has. So yeah, it would be really interesting. I mean, Edmonton found a way to squeak past them last night again. But if you look at, my nephew and I always talk about this, Kalen, who's a big Calgary fan and good for Calgary, they're hanging in there. But if you look at a 7-game series, like, you look at your team and go, how would we match up against those guys over 7 games? You're splitting hairs right now between Edmonton and LA. So on the one side, Edmonton's had a really good run against them, but on the other side, you got the motivation that LA has got to have in their room. There's like, if we get these guys again, we're all in. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
If I was in a role of running a player personnel department for a National Hockey League team, and a prospect came to me and said, "Look, I deserve to be further along here. I should be playing more in the power play in the American Hockey League, or I should be in the NHL. Let's move this along." I would just go, Quentin Byfield, go look him up and see how LA handled him.
Yeah,
Very good.
and then come back and talk to me, because they were uber patient with him.
Well, and they tried to pick him
conservative.
off. Yeah, other teams tried to pick him off too, right? You'd hear his name come up, and Rob Blake, and I was going, no, not going to happen. Like, the guy's 6'5", and he can fly. Like, I mean, it's 6'5" to be a good skater. You're like, oh yeah, he moves. He blows by people. Like, he closes. He'd be so hard to play against because he's got that range. And even more like intimidating if you're playing against someone like that is that speed, because if you blow a half a wheel or you don't get a step on him, if he gets position on you, he's got the speed and the size to go around you. So yeah, they've done a good job. And you look at him, they played him with Kempe and Kopitar, and it's almost like Kopitar kind of helped this guy watch Kopitar every day, and he's kind of like, he's not a mirror image of Kopitar, but Kopitar light, for example,
it's like you guys growing up, and now you become twins.
Well,
Now
we were
become
twins.
twins.
Yep.
We
Yep.
become twins.
I know.
Fantastic. He reminds me, his body, just the way he looks like Mario Lemieux, like the way his stature, like something about him just reminds me of Mario Lemieux. Like, did he take over the game immediately when he came in? No, but he's like that big, lanky, and he kind of slips by guys too. He's not just fast, he slips by guys kind of.
And he's power forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he learned how to play, right? They were slow with him, but
Is he out of Ontario? Is he out of Ontario?
Yep.
Or is he out of,
Yep.
Right.
I was in Kansas City, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, impressive nonetheless. And there's a guy that could help push you over the top in a playoff series this year, right? Like,
and then
they're going to get Edmonton or Vegas, right? What's that?
I said he push you over the top this year and then lead you in 5 years.
Yeah, and he might just take that role
of Kopitar.
Or at least ride shotgun with them, and that's pretty impressive. And then you got Deneau as your third line center, who we all know what he can do in the playoffs, and his ability to shut people down. I was impressed though last night, Mallard. Well, I guess I was going back and forth a bit with you on the game, but Lord Bagg was watching.
We were talking last night.
Yeah, a little bit. You had time for me last night. Appreciate it. I was impressed.
No time, Jeff.
That was a shot.
I was impressed with how LA can check, and they really, Draisaitl and McDavid got some chances, but they were really good at, no matter if it was those two or the other guys, closing down space, and two guys right there, one guy to take him out, and the other guy, if something happened, to be able to recover or get the puck. LA is just painful defensively. They would be so irritating to play against because they play with such structure. And they go, where do they go? Vancouver.
And Doughty isn't even back.
Yeah, Vancouver.
And I thought about that last night. I'm like, what's going to happen when Doughty comes back? Because somebody that's playing every night on their back end is going to lose. Like, there's going to be 25 minutes come off the board pretty much immediately, 20 to start, and then 25 when Doughty gets his thing going.
Two players ice time come off the board.
But you know what? That they could use a little bit. It's hard to say when they're one of the best goals against in the league, but that's not just a little upgrade. That's a massive upgrade. Doughty gets back, give him, a month to get himself back to where he feels he should be. They're going to be, they're right there. They're good for LA, man. They've done a good job kind of identifying what they need. They're healthy. They're as good, they're going to be as tough as out as anybody.
What do you think? What do you think? I'm going to go back to Utah. What do you think's missing? What do you think? He was like, there was a little bit of silence, so he freaked out.
Yeah, it's like, what? You guys are back on your phones.
Come on, guys, agree with me.
I love silence.
I just nodded my head. I agreed with myself. I was like, yep.
But what?
Good point, Sharps. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
You're awesome today. I'm walking out of here. I got to go to the rink this afternoon. I'm like, I'll be just daily affirmation the whole way around the 215 out to the west side of town.
Point Sharples.
I don't need those guys.
This is the greatest podcast with you guys. Silence inspires an entire conversation of idiocy.
So great. It's so great. Point Sharples.
You guys have post-production where you can put a little ding.
Yeah, we need that. We need to start adding things. Just thought bubbles like the old pop-up video back in the day.
Yeah, I
Just
love
with
pop-up videos.
It was so good. We just said Jeff flew planes.
Yes.
Jeff flew planes while playing hockey.
Oh my goodness, pop-up videos. You know what we should do is pop-up hockey games. Be able to watch it the next day with different things included in the broadcast.
You could do it the highlights. You just do it the highlights.
Yes.
Like you put like you just stop it, and as a guy's on a breakaway.
Has gone left three times in the last 4 breakaways.
Known to wear three pairs of gloves in a game.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, but you got to have a pop-up of the guy that just got roasted, what he's thinking too.
Yeah.
Going straight to
yeah.
Insert your American like name.
Just some waivers, waivers, question mark.
Or a picture of a Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking. I'm like, I'm on the bus. I'm done. My life's over. I'm going back.
Or
to the AHL.
you replace him with a pylon with a stick coming out of it. That's really good. Mean. It's got to be mean at times. Oh my God. If you haven't been called a pylon, you haven't been a pylon. There.
You haven't played hockey.
Yeah. But that's a great show. You know who needs that is who's looking for content is the NHL Network.
Are they?
They're all, you kidding? They have barely any content. Look at what they do. They're just struggling to,
they have like 6
stay
shows
on the
during
air.
the day.
Yeah, but of podcasts, they have no content at all. Like,
why don't they take this show?
Well, this is another podcast
about travel.
And
airplanes
and numbering runways. People are like, what?
Why wouldn't the NHL Network love this?
Oh my God,
we've been so far off the grid.
Point Sharples.
Yeah. That's 2.
You used to play in the NHL.
I have the best picture. Hey, Millard, can we talk about the other? So, the other night, when Millard and I'm not fortunate enough to be in the control tower with Millard while he's moving everything around on the pregame and the intermission. I have the best picture I'm going to send to you, Lord Bagg. I never sent it to you yet because I wanted to see his reaction first. The best picture of Millard the other night doing the broadcast, I laughed and I sent it to Millard because I wanted to make sure he didn't crumble or get mad at me first. And he's just.
Can you send it to all me? Can we put it up right now?
I tell you what, the look on his face, we can put up right now, but I won't. I'll send that part. The best look I've ever seen. Like I think he was in his car driving home. Like that's the look. He had the microphone in his hand, he's just kind of looking off to the side. I think he'd already left the building. But
sometimes people think I'm disinterested when I put my mic down. But it's heavy. It's an exercise for me to not interrupt. So if I have a thought in my head, I have to like literally lift the mic up and then get it out. And by then it's probably too late. So I interrupt a lot less when I put my microphone down.
Well,
I interrupt from a distance when I put the microphone down.
When Gary's talking though, I had a full eclipse the other night when you and Gary were going at it, and then Jamie was in the middle of with you guys the other night, and Gary said something, and then you went right back in there again. And I was like, I think I need to be on the outside next time I'm with you guys, and you can just go at it.
It's a visual cue to Gary sometimes to tell him that we got to wrap it up. If I lift the microphone back up, that means I want to talk again, and that means we're getting to the end. So it works in a couple of different ways. I did have a producer one time tell me, hey, you can't do that. I'm like, I think I'm going to do it.
I think I'm going to do it because you're not going to be here for long as a producer.
That's true, but that's not why it happened.
I love that I get your guys' home games on the ESPN app. It's great because I don't get all the pre games on the app. It's really weird that I get the Vegas one. I don't know why that is. So, but it's fantastic. And by the way, Jeff blew up. I don't know what game it was last week that you guys did, but it was on I think a Monday or something, and it was
San Jose last Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday? That one was in BC. That was all over BC. So Jeff blew up the internet last week. Is it Jeff? It's Jeff on. I can't believe. People.
I got a funny story about that. So Flats in Winnipeg sends me a text. He goes, Brent, is his older brother. It's the best. The Flaherty family is just the best. And so Brent texts Wade during the game, and he goes, hey, there's some guy named Jeff Sharples doing the Vegas broadcast right now. Wade goes, he goes, that's Jeff, Brent. He goes, oh my God. He says, I had to rewind it to see it was him. God, he looks old.
There's a guy with the same name as Jeff on.
Oh my God. I'm like,
there's another Jeff Sharples.
Brent took me down hard, and I just laughed, and I said, hey, the elderly gentleman, and so it was Flat's birthday the other day, so I said, welcome to the elderly gentleman club. So
that's so funny.
You can have it take you down, or you can try and rise with it. So
that's not
Brent,
good for you, Lord Bagg, because you're
I know.
Well, look, my twin's aging much better than I am, so
2 minutes for looking so good.
That's right. Just
those are good.
Hey, just a
touch of gray.
Just a touch of gray. The wife likes it, right?
Yeah. Those are some great commercials.
Google those, everybody. If you don't, that
was it Gillette?
Paul Harvey. Was that?
Was it Gillette? What were they doing?
It was a hockey. Who was the hockey player that did it? Was it Lafleur?
Rocket. It was Rocket.
Yeah. Just a touch of
2 minutes for looking. 2 minutes for looking so good.
Yeah. What was that?
We should have named our podcast that.
We should have named it. You guys should name this podcast. What was the name? Who was that?
Memories. That's what we should call this place. I also like the new podcast called Point Sharples. it's his individual podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
And here's another thought from me. I love it. Oh my God. What's the best commercial a hockey player's ever done?
I have to say the Generation X, the new ones with the guys, where they're Hughes is on it, Suzuki's on it, McDavid, and then Sid's on it at the end.
Yeah,
I got it.
And then the new Vegas at the Player Media Tour, all at City National Arena.
And that's what I say to Michelle every time. She goes, "You already told me that." So, because you told me that. She's like, sorry, kind of like Carrie Ann that way. Like, you know what? When they've had enough, it's just a chirp back.
Not everything's a stage.
Oh my God! How
Grecian Formula? Grecian Formula was the
Grecian Formula. Yes, that's the best.
That's good. Ever. Yeah, I would have thought just for men, but that's right. How about the new one, the tipping one with the goalies, and Brad Marchand's on there? That's awesome.
Also, the Pasternak,
Dunkin' Donuts was it?
Dunkin' Donuts, yeah.
Hey, back to Gretzky and the Mr. Big or the 7-Up commercials. Those are good.
Those are pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, the Matt Sundin, Wayne Gretzky McDonald's commercial where they scored from everywhere in Maple Leaf Gardens.
Oh yeah. That was good.
Just that picture of Wayne Gretzky wearing a pair of shorts, sitting at a bunch of Mr. Bigs and 7-Ups. Have you ever seen that photo? That's pretty funny.
Mike Liut was the goalie in the Mr. Big commercial.
Best Mike Liut.
I gotta get a goalie in there. Yep. So
gotta get a goalie in there.
You don't score without goalies.
Who is this Jeff Sharples that's on this channel?
Yeah, he goes. There's a Jeff Sharples on the Vegas Golden Knights, and Floyd goes, Brent, that's Jeff. Oh, we laughed about that the other night, and then I went and wiped a few tears away.
I do have to fly.
Point taken away.
Yeah, I know. I had to took my own away there. So.
Yeah, we all got to do it. Let's do the shout outs. We got to get going.
Okay.
Somebody else has got another one.
Mallard, go ahead. Start us
No,
off.
I want you to go first because if we're all going to go at the same time, I want you to go first because I'm curious because you've teased yours.
Okay, so the other day I got a shout out, and he knows how much this hurts me to do it, but he did say something funny to me the other day. I'm gonna shout out Cam Miller because he goes to me the other day. He goes, "I listened to the podcast, Darren and Ian, and sometimes Jeff."
I knew you were talking more this week.
I loved it. I loved it. I laughed. I laughed at that. Darren and Ian. He goes, it was a good podcast with Darren and Ian and sometimes Jeff. So I might have my own podcast called Sometimes Jeff. I think I'll start that next week.
And
I
you get
laughed.
lots
Oh
of good
my
points.
God.
That's
Oh
and
my
you
God.
just all you do is go, good point, Jeff.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
very good.
I love that you've been bent out of shape for a week by Brent and Cam. You've been holding that in. I'm gonna wear my hat and look young, and I'm gonna talk a lot this episode.
I had some different lighting. I airbrushed my cheeks this morning.
He's wearing flippers. He's got straight teeth.
Yeah. I did some with my eyelashes too. I rolled them up a little extra.
Oh, that's so good. My shout out is going to be to the LA Kings equipment manager, Darren Granger, who I've known forever, grew up with in Brandon, played minor
No
hockey
way.
and baseball with, and he's a Olympic champion. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and I touched base with him last night. We see each other a few times a year, but touched base with him about the fires, and everything's good there. But just seeing you guys do a podcast together makes me really appreciate my homies a little bit more. And Stewie, we called him Stewie because his dad's name was Stu. Darren Granger, one of the great guys in the business, and Stewie, Darren Granger,
Yeah.
Lord Bagg.
Yeah, absolute great guy, fantastic guy. Yeah, and yeah, just he's off to the Four Nations. He's going to be their equipment manager for that. So that was going to be
Does it
awesome.
all. He
Yeah, does it
all.
all. Fantastic. And he's got Dana by his side, Dana Bryce and our buddy. So yeah, that's awesome. My shout out is to all my buddies that are misplaced right now. I know some of my one buddy, Pete Lee, he had flown out to do the Tonight Show in New York, and while he was there, his house burned down. And they said, do you want to do the show? And he said, you know what? I got nothing else to do. So, and he did the Tonight Show, and he was able to give a great talk about it and still be funny. And I know they're going to be displaced for a while, a lot of these people. And yeah, it's they're but I don't know what there, but the grace of God go could be I or whatever. I don't know what I probably screwed it up, but it could all be
No,
either
you
of
did.
any of us. I screwed it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea. I'm President Bush when it comes to sayings. Fire me once, kill me twice. Twice in the head, four in the bump. Anyways, but seriously, it could happen to any of us at any time, and
Totally.
and it's so big shout out to all my buddies that are going to be stuck up for up creek for a while, and life will get back to normal at some point. All right.
All right. Yep.
Love
Thanks for having
y'all.
me on, guys. Love to all.
Thanks for
Point Sharples.